Uncrating to 5-hour maintenance and beyond. Join us as we review our new Cub Cadet XT1 Enduro Series LT42-inch tractor mower. After thoroughly researching the competition, we decided to purchase this new Cub Cadet 42-inch riding mower. In my previous video, we explored various features of the mower, including the hydrostatic transmission, engine, turning radius, cruise control, hour meter, and full set of anti-scalp wheels. But what I find most aesthetically gratifying is the beautiful color and bold square design lines that appeals to the all-American prowess and spirit. I chose to take my mower straight from a crate. This comes from my paranoia floor model thrashings. Assembly doesn't take long, and it's a fun little project to work on. It just takes a basic set of tools. Attached to the rear on the seat springs is the almighty pouch of instructions and accessories. Let's take a closer look. Behold the bag of wonders. These sacred documents hold everything you need to know to get started, so make sure you take the time out and study them well. Let's explore a bit further to see what we can find. This is the oil drain tube. This will greatly ease messy oil changes, which we'll explore later in this video. Here we have an extra ignition key. This is an adapter from a garden hose to the washout port for the mower deck. We'll also explore this later in the video. The instructions include a quick step-by-step guide for installing all those loose parts and how to finish uncrating the mower. Here is the engine owner's manual. We'll be referring back to this later. And here is the associated engine warranty guide. Here's the mower warranty and part supplement guide. And at long last, the most important and informative document, the operator's manual. Okay, back to work now that we have the quick assembly guide. There is a lot of plastic on this machine, and some of the parts take a little finessing to snap together. Before starting the engine, make sure to check the oil level. You must add oil if the level is low. In my small engines and ATVs, I prefer to use a fuel that does not contain ethanol. Let's go ahead and crank this over for the first time and see if it starts. And it does immediately, and even without the manual choke. I was a little confused how this comes off the crate, so I just removed the front support and drove it off. The clearance was fine and the deck didn't seem to hit the wood. The operator's manual indicates that the tires are overfilled for shipping purposes, whatever that means. So it's important to check the sidewalls of the tires for the operating PSI of the tire. My rear wheels indicate 10 PSI. Because these are low pressure tires, I'll be using a low pressure gauge that I use for my ATVs. Simply press on the center of the valve stem to relieve pressure and keep checking until the pressure comes down to within the optimal PSI settings. Repeat this process for all wheels, noting that the front and the rear tire pressures will be different. The seat has a high back and I find it comfortable. The material is vinyl and easy to clean. Under the seat is 2 stiff support springs. This provides for a somewhat rough ride when mowing over some of my terrain, so it can get a bit wearing towards the end of a mowing session. The seat adjuster is easy to use and the seat slides freely along the track. The seating adjusts quickly and accommodates a smaller rider as well. On the right side is the deck lift lever and the PTO engagement handle. Both feel refined and are easy to grip and move. On the left side is a cup holder for your favorite beverage, and next to that is a holder for your cell phone. Now, maybe place your cell phone into a sealable bag if you choose to haul it along with you. And on the top is another storage location for your, well, whatever you choose to bring along with you, I suppose. The cruise control is operated with this combination park brake cruise control lever. To set the cruise control, move the forward pedal to your desired speed and then push the control lever down. I found that sometimes I have to finesse the pedal a bit before it clicks into place. It seems there are about 5 different pre-selected notches you can set the cruise to. To disengage the cruise, just press the forward pedal and it will automatically unlock the lever. Similarly, the parking brake can be set in the same way while depressing the brake on the left side. It will also disengage when pressing the brake pedal in. Here's the test the internet seems to love. How will the mower handle tall grass? The owner's manual states that the mower can cut grass up to 10 inches. So with that disclaimer, do not try this with your mower. The grass is measuring at about 36 inches. If you're from the Cub Cadet warranty department, you may want to turn your head away for just a moment. Yes, that is the sound of the single cylinder being slightly stressed as it struggles to keep the RPMs up to speed, but it handles it quite nicely. I started with a full tank and mowed my yard, which is about 1 acre. As you can see, I used about a half a tank, which would translate into about 1.5 gallons. It is not required to open the hood to fill or check the oil level, as there is an indicator on the side. However, I find that the outside indicator is a bit hard to read, so I usually end up opening the hood to check the level anyways. The specifications for this mower claim it has a 16-inch turning radius. And I can tell you from experience on a lot of other tractors compared to this one, the maneuverability is awesome. It allows the operator to get in tight spaces such as these. And the closer I can get, the less I have to lug around my push mower and string trimmer. So how tight can it mow in a circle? Let's give this a test. After mowing multiple crop circles in my yard, I'm getting on average just under 50-inch rings. Not bad considering the older tractor mowers I'm used to operating take a length of a runway suited for a 747 to turn around. Does it tow? Yes, it tows. The headlights are LED, which are pretty neat. I did notice that after 5 hours, debris started to seep into the housing, so these lenses will have to be popped off and cleaned. Let's test these out in the dark. The lights turn on with the key and the light output actually isn't too bad. Let's start the mower to see if there's any change. And as expected, even at low throttle or high throttle, there is no difference. And actually, I guess you kind of can mow in the dark, although your neighbors may not be happy with you the next day. The operator's manual specifies not to wash the mower with water, rather use a form of compressed air. The manual lists all the places to clean. I also dampened some of the surfaces with glass cleaner, which seems to work pretty well. After the first 5 hours, the operator's manual specifies that the brake and engine oil must be changed. These newer style oil drain ports are pretty neat, and I've seen them on a variety of small engines. This will be my first time using one of these, so we'll grab the provided oil drain tube, pop that onto the drain port, and put the other end into a container. To open up the drain, simply turn it to the left and pull it outwards. It seems to be a little tight. I can't quite get a grip, so let's go ahead and try a glove. Okay, there we go. We'll let that drain for a few minutes. Not much is flowing out, so I tilted the mower slightly to the side using these levelers from my RV. It seems to be working pretty well. While we're waiting for the oil to drain, let's check the air filter. And wow, as you can see, the pre-filter media is pretty dirty, but it's done a nice job protecting the primary filter. Let's remove the pre-filter and clean it up a bit. I like to use a small vacuum to clean these off. The pre-filter has done its work, so let's wipe off the main filter end and then reinstall the pre-filter. I will also clean up the filter housing a bit. Gently press the filter assembly back on the intake while taking care not to crush it. Now that the oil is completely drained out, let's push in and turn the oil drain port clockwise and back into locked position. We'll grab a towel to soak up the rest of the oil. And here's the old break-in oil. Transfer this to an approved oil container and be sure to take this to a recycling center. This is not going to the trash. Next, let's change the oil filter. This can get messy, so grab a rag or towel and place it below the filter and cover up the gap between the engine and the chassis. You do not want to get this oil between the engine and the chassis. In some cases, this could drip down the primary output shaft and onto your belts and become a complete disaster. This will inevitably cause you to sit on a log in the woods and question the purpose of life. Ask me how I know. Okay, the filter should just twist off by hand. Alright, okay, so that's on there way too tight. So we'll grab a tool. This is an oil filter cap wrench, and I use this to change the oil on our trucks. And it seems that although it's a bit loose, I think it'll grip the end just barely. Wow, sweet mother of Merlin. This is like a sword in the stone. Ridiculously tight, but it's loosening slowly. There we go. Kohler, why is this so tight? Okay, just take this off by hand now that it's loose. Use a clean rag to clean this up a bit and take care not to get any debris or dirt back up into the inlet or mating surfaces. Also clean up the oil that has spilled anywhere else. Home Depot gave me this replacement filter. I did notice that it's a bit smaller than the one that came pre-installed on the engine. However, it has the same part number, so it must be an acceptable replacement. But after doing a bit of research, it seems there is a larger compatible filter from Kohler that is also appropriate for this application. I'll be buying one of these larger filters the next time I change the oil. FYI, both of these filters are cheaper on Amazon, and I will link to them in the description. Oh, and don't forget to take this protective plastic cover off before installing. Per the graphical chart in the engine manual, I'll be using 10W30. I grab a couple quarts of my favorite brand of synthetic oil, which rhymes with foil nurple. Per the instructions, fill the filter halfway with oil and lightly spread a coating on the seal. Maybe that way it won't get stuck again, and take the divine powers of Arthur for the next oil change. Install the filter by hand per the instructions on the oil filter, and also by the code of common sense in the automotive world, and wipe off any excess oil. Pour in the new oil for the dipstick tube. I like to use a clean funnel dedicated just for this purpose. Note that not all 2 quarts will be used. Check the manual for fill capacity of your specific engine and take caution not to overfill. Check and recheck the oil when you're done, and probably once more after a bit of runtime. It's as simple as that. And we're done. We're going to lube a few places as long as we're in maintenance mode. Particularly, I'm interested in the front wheels. I'm seeing a fair amount of looseness in these, and I think I might know why. These wheels do not ride on bearings, rather they use bushings. These bushings are greasable, and it seems they have quite a bit of tolerance. It's hard to see on camera, but these are pretty loose. I'll pump some grease in here and see if they tighten up. Clean the grease zerks off with a towel. We don't want to push dirt into our clean grease. Let's go ahead and check the play in the hub again, and as you can see, this is much better. Let's repeat this process on the other side. In the same fashion, let's also fill the front axles. Yes, these were pretty dry too. And we're done. It's as simple as that, guys. I've used the mower twice now, so let's check to see how the washout port works. You can see there is a fair amount of buildup just from these 2 uses. However, after reading the operator's manual, this should be done after every use. So I've already failed. Let's illustrate the process anyways. Attach the provided hose coupler to your garden hose, and then click it into place over the port on the deck. Turn the water fully on, start the mower, and engage the blades. Let it run for a couple of minutes. Turn off the water again and run the blades for a couple more minutes to help the drying process. And let's go ahead and check our results. Okay, well, this piece is still here, and as expected, the washing didn't make much of a difference. For those of us who are not on a limited water supply and have unlimited time and can afford to do this after every mowing session, your results will probably be better. I'll have to get under here and clean this out by hand. But at least this buildup is a little softer now. Maybe just ignore this test. But you get the general idea. Don't be a fool. Wear hearing protection. Ask me how I know. I love the option to safely mow in reverse. To turn this functionality on is like signing a waiver. Turn the key to not mow over your children mode and press the I agree orange triangle button. The warning yellow indicator LED will illuminate, and you can now safely back up with the blade still engaged. Reversing is especially important on hills. Proper technique in the operator's manual advises not to mow crossways, but rather directly up and down the slope. I prefer to back up the slope to where I feel comfortable and then pull forwards. However, I did notice an issue with the transmission. The open differential design causes traction issues even on gentle, uneven terrain. Sometimes it requires a couple different approaches and a little momentum to mow in these areas. To explain this behavior, let's raise the machine and explore how the transmission works. Please do not try this experiment at home, just watch me do it, please. Both drive wheels are off the ground a couple inches. If I spin one wheel, the other wheel will turn the opposite way. This proves that the transmission has an open differential design. With an open differential design, if there is equal load to both wheels, they both should turn at the same speed, as you can see here. However, if one wheel loses traction while the other wheel is firmly planted on the ground, the wheel with the least resistance will turn. Similarly, we can reverse this and get a mirrored result. In more expensive models, there is a differential lock feature which will lock the 2 axles together and eliminate this problem. I don't have an urban yard with solid lush green carpeting, but rather an expansive yard of rolling hills with prairie grass and weeds. However, the evenest cut seems to be decent. There is minimal stepping on the side hills, and it seems to mow uneven terrain such as this ditch fairly well. Unless the grass is especially tall, I don't have any issues with it missing any of the green stuff. So here's the deal, guys. I really do love my mower. Sure, it has a few shortcomings, but usually all products do to some degree. I've learned the limitations and how to deal with those, but more importantly, I've learned that I love mowing my lawn again. When I was a kid growing up, I recall cutting my grandfather's grass with some of his tractor mowers, and I did so every opportunity I could get. It was a testament to nearing adolescence and becoming a responsible adult using a large piece of machinery with rotating blades of dismemberment. I remember the pleasure of carving out the landscape, wielding control and power with the turn of a key, and the bliss of cruising along on a summer's day on a mission. Oh, how I've forgotten that feeling as I grew older. These things have become a never-ending laborious burden I dread, extending each time before mowing a little bit more. But now I've rediscovered the magic. Now I actually look forward to cruising down the yard, waving at the neighbors and children on a summer's evening, remembering the time that I used to love this duty, and doing so on a machine that I truly love to use. And I think you just might as well. And all that is great, but what matters in the end is what the machine affords you to accomplish. It wins back your pleasure of achieving a task with fantastic ocular precision and satisfaction, but most importantly, it buys you something you cannot replace. Time. Time so that you can concentrate on what really matters. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and be sure to check out our other review and adventure videos. We'd love to have you as part of our community, and as always, keep your yard groomed, and we'll see you next time.